Later this summer, I am going to attempt my longest backpacking trip to date. In the 30+ years of time that I've spent backpacking, I've never done a trip that is over 100 miles in length. And I'm gonna be hiking or attempting to hike the Uinta Highline Trail with a good friend of mine, which the trail comes in at just over 100 miles in length. Now, why would I be nervous about a trail like this if I have so much experience? Really, it just comes down to the remoteness of the trail, the elevation, consistency of the trail, as well as it's just the longest trail that I will have done to date. And so I'm questioning things a little bit, and I'm wanting to test gear ahead of the trip and kind of do some shakedown things to make sure that I am just as ready to go as I possibly can be. So today, what I've got is a little bit of the gear that I'm going to be testing and some new stuff that I'm checking out ahead of the trip just to see what is going to work. And this coming weekend, I'm actually headed out on a trip to do about 35 to 40 miles of training, essentially, to shake down some of this gear, see if I like it, and then switch things out as necessary. So I've got 2 packs here because these are 2 packs that I am considering based off of what the next 2 trips I take before the Highline kind of reveal in what the experience is and what's going to be the best for the Highline Trail and being out there for 6 or 7 days. Now for me, one of the key components of a successful backpacking trip is the planning and research that I do ahead of a trip. And the tool that I use for mapping my routes and planning everything is Onyx Backcountry. Now, Onyx is sponsoring this video today, and I thank them for that. And don't click off or skip forward. This is important information. What Onyx provides as a tool is the ability for you to map all of your routes, for you to have all of that information in the palm of your hand, offline when you're out in the remote backcountry, so that you can make better decisions while you are out there. If I do all of that research and I map everything ahead of time, I have an itinerary basically, and I've got information that's available for me to make better decisions while I am out there on my trip. If somebody gets hurt or if I need to bail out for some reason, then I have all of this available by having done that research ahead of time, download the information so it's right there, ready to go. It just makes it so that I feel way more confident while I'm out there on my trip. I think it is one of the most important parts of making a backpacking trip successful. I don't like to wing it. I don't like to just fly by the seat of my pants and see what happens. I like to make sure that I've got everything ready to go and I am making smart decisions so that I just enjoy myself as much as possible. So I highly recommend checking out Onyx. It's a great tool, and I've got a link down in the description where you can save some money on a premium or an elite membership. Now, contrary to what I talk about often here on the channel, I am actually focusing on trying to save as much weight as I possibly can for this trip so that I just, in doing 100 miles of hiking, am not carrying more weight than is absolutely necessary. I'm going to be carrying 7 days worth of food. I'm doing a lot of elevation gain and loss. Most of the Highline Trail is over 10,000 feet in elevation. There's a lot of exposure, and I want to make sure that I am comfortable and safe, but also not carrying more than is necessary. And so I'm opting to not bring specific things like a chair. There is not a chair. I'm not bringing a sit pad. I'm not bringing a bunch of extra stuff that might just weigh me down and make it so I have to carry a larger pack than is necessary. So what I've got for pack choices as the first piece of gear is at least for this next weekend, I am going to take this Scala 38 to shake down and see whether or not I think that this is going to be big enough for being able to carry 7 days worth of food and also not exceed the carry capacity or the weight capacity of this pack. It is a frameless pack. This is a pack that I have already spent quite a bit of time with and have really enjoyed, but I'm nervous that the 38-liter size of the pack isn't going to be quite enough capacity for a full 7 days worth of food, at least at the start of the trip. So I'm going to load it with probably a little bit more food than I would need for the trip I'm going on next week. That is a shakedown hike, to see if it's going to work out. But if it doesn't work out, then I'm looking at taking my Hyperlike mountain gear, Southwest 55. So a much larger backpack that has this enormous collar on the top that is going to be able to carry that food no problem. Now, you might be thinking, well, just take the Southwest 55. Just plan on this being the pack. It's just a lot of pack, and maybe I don't need to take this and I can get away with taking the Scala. That is part of the process of just trying to shake things down and see what I think is going to be the best option. But it is probably very likely that this is what I take for that 100 miles of walking. Now, my tent that I am planning to use is the TFS, or the Free Spirits Enron 1. This is a one-person tunnel style tent and should be a really nice option for that alpine environment, out of tree cover and being exposed to some wind and rain that is very common in monsoon season for you to have pretty extreme storms in the high Uinta wilderness. And so this also is a polyester fly that I am excited about taking this out and using it. But again, we're going to take it out this weekend, see how it does in a similar environment. I am headed to the Uintas, and that'll be a nice way for me to test and see how things go. I've got my stakes in here, and then the poles and the carbon fiber end poles for the tent right here. So that's the full package of my shelter system that I plan to use. Now, my sleeping gear comes down to a couple different options, but primarily what I'm going to take for my sleeping pad is the ZenBivy ultralight pad. I am going to take the tapered version. It's a little bit smaller pack size than the rectangular version, and I'll pair it with the ZenBivy soft top pillow. Now, for my sleeping gear, I am trying to decide between two options. A sleeping bag that I purchased recently is in this 8-liter Sea to Summit compression bag. I do plan to use the compression bag because it does provide just a smaller pack size as well as some protection against any rain. Now, what this is the Ariel 300 down sleeping bag from Cumulus. It's actually a collaboration with Gossamer Gear to get this beautiful blue color. And this is a really unique sleeping bag in the sense that it does not have a zipper. There's no zipper that goes down the side. So you just inch your way in through the top, and there you go, you're inside of the bag. Now, this is meant to be super minimal, really lightweight, and it also has no insulation through the back panel of the bag. But what it does provide is all of the benefits of a traditional mummy bag. You have your full hood, you have the ability to really close things up, and you're not dealing with drafts that you might have from a quilt. But I can already see the comments that you guys are going to be leaving down in saying, just use a quilt. It's less awkward for you to get in and out of. And I probably agree. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to take it out, and hopefully I have a good experience with it. But I found it to be an interesting concept for a bag. And my experience with the Cumulus products so far is really positive. They are fantastic. Now, this is rated to a 30-degree comfort rating, which might be too cold for the end of summer at 10,000 feet. So if looking at the forecast that doesn't fit the bill, then I'm going to take my UGQ Bandit top quilt. Here we go. We got the quilt. Those of you that were typing away in the comments, this is a 20-degree rated quilt, comfort rated, and I've had this thing down into the teens and been warm. So with the R value of 5 for the sleeping pad and this, it would make for a great combination and work out just fine. So we'll report back on the Cumulus Ariel 300. Let's talk about clothing. I am, again, trying to be minimal in the amount of clothing, so I'm going to have essentially a change of clothes or just some warmer base layers for me to change into and sleep in, and then I'll just have my basic hiking clothes, my sun hoodie, and then my shorts, and obviously the shoes and socks that I'm hiking with, but I'll have a second pair of socks. Then I'll have an extra pair of underwear and my Highline leggings from Outdoor Vitals. Very lightweight, super warm, a nice way to just warm up if I'm hanging out around camp, but then also for sleeping. And that's pretty much all the clothing. I'm not going super heavy on a bunch of different like mid layers and everything. I'm banking on the fact that we're gonna be hiking anywhere from 15 to 20 miles each day, and most of the time is gonna be spent walking, and so I don't need a bunch of extra layers for hanging around camp. If I do get cold, let's get in the tent and hang out and warm up that way. But I will have a rain jacket. This is a rain jacket from Mammut. I love this thing. It is a little bit heavier than like my Outdoor Vitals Tusher, but I like the cuffs on this better, and it's just a nice bright color. I don't know, I like it, so I'm gonna be using it. And then my down jacket is the Arc'teryx Cerium hoodie, which is a fairly lightweight down coat or down jacket. I don't know why they call it a hoodie, maybe because it has a hood. But I had one of these for many years in the past, and I've actually missed that jacket for quite some time. And so I bought a new one. They're expensive, and there are significantly cheaper options than to go with the Arc'teryx brand, but I love the fit on this, and I've just had really good performance from this Cerium in the past, and so it was time to get a new one. My other one had just been completely worn out. It had holes in it. It was time to retire, but I bought a new one ahead of late summer to the fall seasons for me to enjoy the comfort of that. That is all of the clothing. So then all of the other accessory items. What do I have for water filtration? That's not going to be any surprise. Got my Knock 2-liter Vecto in my Sawyer Squeeze. This will make it so that I have 4 liters of total water capacity, because there is about a 20-mile section of water or no water on the beginning part of the trail. After that, water is plentiful and I won't have any issues, but very likely I'm going to be filling this up and carrying a full 4 liters of water at the beginning of the trip. And I'm going to be using my Squawk 1-liter Squawker bottles. I love these things. They have been amazing for all of my trips, and I think, I don't know, there's not much else to say about them. They're just awesome. I have enjoyed them a lot more than Smart Water bottles, even though they are quite a bit heavier than Smart Water bottles. And then for cooking, this is new from Fire Maple, a new piece of gear that I am going to test and see if it makes sense for the trail or if I just take my Toaks 550. But I've got my classic orange cup. So this new release from Fire Maple, this is the Petrol Quick Boil system, I believe it's called. But you have your lid that I just set down here. You have a gas canister base. You have a stove that I also have my fuel canister in here. But this essentially has a windscreen and a heat exchanger set up on the bottom side of the pot. So that will connect like that, and then your canister, and because it is fairly tall, nice, that was great. But because it is a bit taller, now we're locked in, you do have this base for it to be more stable. Now this is going to be hopefully better at higher elevation or on windy scenarios, in blocking the wind, making it so that I'm still able to boil for my evening meals and just enjoy it. I think it's cool. It's a bit of an upgrade, I think, to the classic G3 petrol, 600 milliliter, and that's the capacity of this as well. It just adds the windscreen and the connection of the stove here. And I think this is the Hornet titanium stove, or just the Fire Maple Hornet burner. I don't know 100%. I just barely bought this, had it delivered, and so we're gonna try it out. But that is that. And then my food bag. This is the Avon roll top food bag from Backcountry Exposure. This is my design, this is my food bag, and they are available on my website now. Now, the reason that I am using a roll top bag is because for a much longer food carry, a roll top bag gives you a lot more capacity to carry food. Now, I would typically use my Mesa or Mesa XL zippered food bag that I've been using for years and years and years, but I am also wanting to get some really good trail time with the Avon, and I'm really excited about this design. Now, just a little plug about what I've done with this is a lot of times a food bag that is a flat bottom food bag like this, the bottom is just sewn straight across. And what happens is when you set it down on the ground, you get a corner of fabric that pokes out that is just dead unusable space, but also becomes an abrasion point on the bag. So what I've done is I have curved the bottom here, which eliminates that corner that pops out and makes it so you don't have that weird dead space, but it still stands on its own, no problem. And this is the 8-liter size. I also have a 12-liter capacity, but I'm really, really excited about this. Nice premium Duraflex buckle. I've got molded Velcro here at the top, which means it's not going to stick to your fleece or other materials really at all, but it makes for a nice, secure, and easier roll of the top. So that's the Avon roll top food bag. Stoked about that. Then my other like accessory items, I have my first aid kit in a Backcountry Exposure little ditty, and then in this little ditty is all of my electronics. This is a gusseted bottom accessory ditty bag, zipper top. I'm gonna have my Claymore cap on, headlamp, flashlight, my NB 10,000 Gen 3 night core, and then, I've got my toothbrushes and some charging cables, and that's pretty much it. Like, I'm not bringing my Govee thermometer, I'm not bringing any of those extra things because, again, trying to go minimal in my approach. Now, I think the last thing here is my bug repellent. The mosquitoes are going to be horrendous, especially next weekend, and so I've got my Sawyer Picardin. Outside of that, my Coros Apex Pro or Apex 2 Pro watch, Coros Apex 2, something like that. This thing has been phenomenal. I am obsessed with this watch. And in fact, in the last like 3 months that I have been wearing it, I've worn my Garmin Phoenix one time and I was like, nope, I'm going back to the Coros. This battery life on the watch is incredible. I am just really excited for that to be part of the mix in helping me see elevation gain and loss and what my heart rate is and all of those things. So yeah, that is the gear. Let's finish this up. Now, I think what's important to note from all of this is I could very easily just throw a bunch of pieces of gear together and call it good from all of the experience that I have from years past, and probably be just fine out on the trail for this 100-mile hike. But I really want to dial things in. I want to feel super confident with things. I don't want to just throw it together and hope that it works. I want it to be a system. I want it to work cohesively together and be easy and quick for me to set up my tent, for me to get my sleep system ready to go and feel confident in it that I'm going to sleep warm and comfortable while I'm out there. I don't want to be in a situation of day 4 and I'm just miserable and not enjoying myself instead of having this incredible experience of hiking this amazing remote trail here in Utah. So that's where my mindset is. That's what I'm trying to accomplish in all of this, is how can I just dial things in, shake it out to have a really positive experience. And so I'm doing some trips ahead of time. I'm headed out this weekend to do 35 to 40 miles of hiking in the Uintas to be at elevation and get training and use the gear and see, okay, this isn't working, or this tent isn't the right choice, or the sleeping bag's not the right choice, or I need a different backpack for me to have the best experience possible. I just want to enjoy myself while I'm out there. That is the end goal, and to spend that time with a friend and be able to support him as well while we're out there, and me not be a burden in having things go wrong or not being totally prepared. So with that, thank you so much for watching today, guys. If you're not subscribed, you know what to do. Look forward to more Uinta Highline content to come ahead of the trip, my full gear list ahead of the trip as well, and then obviously what I share of my experience out on the trail. Hope you guys have an awesome day. We'll catch you in the next one. See you later.